Okay, so it's 12:01 now, so I'll go ahead and get started, and I'll go ahead and start with our intro, and then go ahead and turn it over to Erica. All right, so hello and welcome. So happy that everybody is here. So I'm Giselle, which y'all already know, and I'm an environmental science instructor here at the college. And I would like to let you know that in addition to the HACU presentation today, there's also an internship writing workshop hosted by the Tutorial Center Friday, October 30th, and a resume writing workshop hosted by the Career Resource Center on Tuesday, November 3rd. I would also like to remind you that the presentation is being recorded. Clovis Community College would also like to thank the USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture, Office of Partnerships and Public Engagement for helping to organize this event. Clovis Community College would also like to thank HACU for presenting here at the college today. So today we'll be hearing from Erica Romero, the Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, HACU, Assistant Vice President for State Advocacy. HACU is a nonprofit that advocates on behalf of Hispanic serving institutions from across the U.S., including Puerto Rico. In 1992, the organization partnered with government and private industry to establish a national internship program, the HACU National Internship Program, providing students with an opportunity to enhance their professional and academic skills. Please join me in welcoming Erica Romero. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you so much for having me on campus, or at least the Zoom version of campus. It's my pleasure to be here. So as Assistant Vice President for State Advocacy, my role is usually budget and policy in Arizona, California, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. So I'm essentially a lobbyist. In the fall, I get to spend part of my time speaking with students and faculty about our incredible internship programs. And I'd like to start a little bit of background about who I am. I am the daughter of Mexican immigrants. I grew up in East Oakland in a very not wealthy neighborhood. Went to what was my commuter campus, which was UC Berkeley. I took part in every single day, living at home. And after graduation, I went to work for the California State Assembly, spent a year doing political communications for Farmers Insurance in Los Angeles, came back to the Senate where I was sitting at my desk and the phone rang, and thankfully I did not hang up because I thought it was a joke. It was the White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for Hispanic Americans, and would I be interested in being a White House appointee? And I'm thinking, the White House does not call you to offer you a job. It turns out it does. So point number one for all students, network. Because a friend of mine had received a phone call asking, do you know a Latina who'd be fluent in Spanish, who understands education policy, who might come to DC? And my friend knew me, and he knew I was working on education policy. So people need to know what you're doing in order to be able to promote you. I went to DC. I spent a year working as a White House appointee. And as I looked around, everybody who had the jobs I wanted had a master's degree. I came home to some very understanding parents who let me live rent-free as I worked on my master's degree application and the GRE. And as soon as I was done with that, Mom looked at me and said, Miha, it's time to get a job. So I worked for the Port of Oakland as a contract employee. And I came home on a Thursday, and I will never forget, back in the day, the big package meant you get into grad school, the little package meant you didn't get in. And I come home to this big package, and it's from USC, which ironically was my second choice. And I look at my mom and I go, great, I've got to back up. Let's see what happens. And on Friday, I come home and Mom is holding a little envelope from Harvard, she said. And I look at her and I go, it's okay, Mom, I got into USC, I'll go there, it's great. And my mom looks at me and she goes, if you hug me, I'll tell you it's the really big package in the kitchen. You got into Harvard. And so I was really enthusiastic. I could not believe, right, this daughter of Mexican immigrants got to go to Harvard. And my dad looks at me and he goes, well, congratulations. I'm like, come on, could we show a little more enthusiasm? And he comes home on Monday from work and he goes, Miha, this Harvard, it's a good school, right? I'm like, yeah, Dad, it's a good school. And it really is an understanding that my dad wanted to be supportive, but to him, me going to Harvard meant nothing. He had no concept of what Harvard was. And so I think for all of us, as I talk about how incredibly competitive these programs that we have at HACU are, I don't want students to become discouraged, right? because I am going to tell you it's going to be competitive, but do not hear that and say I should not apply. Hear it and say I will do absolutely everything it takes to get into the program. That's why I share my story, because I know it's not the typical, I always joke, I did what the daughter of Mexican immigrants is supposed to do, went to Berkeley, Harvard, and worked for the White House. One day, hopefully, it will not be a joke that causes laughter, but a reality for so many more of us, that we have that possibility for that trajectory. So I'm going to share my screen and go through our presentation. So who are we at HACU? As was mentioned, we are a national organization. We were founded in 1986. And at the time, there was a recognition that the historically Black colleges and universities played an incredibly important role in educating African American and Black students, and received additional funding to do so. That our tribal colleges did an important role in educating our Native American students and received additional funding to do so. But no recognition that campuses that served a large number of Latinx students might also need additional resources. So we were founded in 1986 to lobby for what are today known as Hispanic serving institutions. They are 25% or more full-time enrollment Latinx students, which you are at Clovis. And so we now have that. We have 3 offices at HACU. Mine is the smallest office up in Sacramento, California. We have a DC office, which houses my federal lobbying counterparts, as well as the HACU National Internship Program, which I'll spend most of today talking about on the federal agency side. And then headquarters, which is in Texas, which is where we were founded and still remain, which is home to our corporate internship program, as well as our scholarships, which I'm also going to talk to you about, because as somebody still paying for her master's degree, it's much better when somebody else pays for it. After we were founded, we took a look at the federal agencies, and at that time, and true today, Latinos were the most underrepresented ethnic group. We are severely underrepresented in the workforce. And so we created the HACU National Internship Program to help diversify the federal workforce. Eventually, we expanded that to corporate America, who also had an interest in making sure that their workforce was diverse. The opportunities are year-round on the federal side. On our corporate side, we do only summer internships. I'm going to be honest, there are only 3 types of students that I am going to recommend take either a fall or a spring semester. And you are one of these students. The first is you are really on top of things even after you transferred to get your bachelor's degree. You are going to graduate in 3.5 and you just want to walk with everybody else. I will make a recommendation. Please make sure you talk to financial aid and the registrar that it's okay to take a semester off and it's not going to mess with your financial aid. The other time that you might want to take a fall or a spring is you're going to be a super senior, you need a little extra time, you still wanted to walk, and you've spoken with financial aid and the registrar, and you can take a semester to work with us. And the third is you find yourself graduating in the worst pandemic ever, and you don't have a job lined up. We have changed our rules so that you can apply to the internship program up to 12 months after your graduation date. So again, we were founded in 1992 for the internships. Today we have over 13,000 alumni of the program. It is a great opportunity. By the way, I see that folks, and it's one, are using the chat box. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. I will try to answer those, and I will definitely take your questions at the end. So the great thing about our internship programs is that all of them are paid. I know I could not have taken a summer off and not gotten paid. Our pay is $610 a week as an undergraduate student. There are no application fees. We will provide you with professional development workshops as well as cultural events. Right now, we are in the virtual space. We do not know what summer is going to bring. So at this stage, we're still doing everything virtually. We will let students know if we're in person or not. Academic credit is offered depending on the institution. It does not hurt to ask if you could be offered academic credit for taking an internship. We offer monitoring and evaluation. For many of our students, it's going to be the first time you're away from home. I know I worked with a student who was really struggling with that, and we made sure that she was okay. Inevitably, there are roommate situations. We will help deal with that. And if ever there's a situation with your work situation, we would also work with that. Right now, this is suspended because we're obviously not traveling, but if we were to go back in person, we offer free travel to and from orientation, which is always in DC, and then to the internship site. Most of our internships are in Washington, DC. We do have some in California. They are far more limited. So I do encourage you, this is a one-time in life, you are going to be paid to go somewhere else, take advantage of it. Again, once we go back in person, we can help you find housing. We do not pay for it, but we also make sure that it is accessible to you, that you can afford it. For those of you who have never lived in DC, it is extremely expensive. And so I highly recommend you take us up on our offer. We're gonna make sure it's affordable. We're gonna make sure you're in a safe environment, and that for the cities that have it, you're near public transportation. So how do you become a HACU intern? You have to be enrolled in a degree-seeking program. You have to finish your first year of college before the internship starts. So for those of you who are first years, you can apply for the summer as long as you're taking a full load. The 3.0 GPA is recommended, but not required. I will be honest, our corporations are far more sticklers for that 3.0 GPA. They're going to want to see that. You have to be authorized to work in the US. That will include our DACA recipients, as well as international students who already have an authorization to work in the US. And again, we changed our rules so that you can apply within 12 months of graduation for an internship. So we do have students recognizing this is not the greatest economy who graduate without a job. They take a paid internship and then they can convert that into full-time employment. Our application process is completely online. That is our website. You're going to give us basic information. You're going to do your education section. So if you have attended multiple community colleges, please make sure you list all of them. You're going to give us a reference. And I will make a personal plea as somebody who has experienced this personally. When you list somebody as a reference, please make sure they know that they are a reference. As somebody who works with many students, I will sometimes get a phone call asking for a reference, and the student worked with me in some capacity many years ago. I will struggle to give a reference. It is helpful. Email the person who's listed as a reference, send them your updated resume, remind them why you are so fantastic, and let them know what you were applying for so that they can give information that helps you land that position. We're going to ask you to add your work history. In this particular case, it is not your resume. It's actually information that you upload. I'm going to urge you, and I see that you have workshops on resume writing. Those are extremely helpful. Make sure that somebody has seen your resume. So we only accept 10% of our applicant pool. It's an extremely competitive program. So everything that you can do to give yourself an advantage is incredibly helpful. So having somebody review your resume, make sure everything is on there. One of the most common mistakes we see, students don't list any of their outside activities. So if you are volunteering, if you are doing community service, if you're in a club, it should be reflected on your work history. As somebody who sold clothes to get herself through Berkeley, right, it doesn't look that glamorous, but career services can do some great things. As somebody who's naturally shy, we made it all about my communication skills. It was actually a great job for me because it forced me to get out of my comfort zone. And so we talked about the marketing and the communications. There are ways to list all of your job responsibilities. You're going to write an essay. The essay is only 500 words. It's short. What I will say is try to keep it broad enough that you aren't picking a federal agency. So for instance, last year when I was in Arizona, I met somebody who was only willing to work for SAMHSA, which is the mental health organization for the feds. That was the only place he'd go. He knew that. He tailored the essay specifically for SAMHSA and he actually got it. But for most of you, we want to keep it broader, especially if you're an English major, computer science major, any of the business majors, if you're a Chicano studies major, whatever you may be, right? You can work at any of the federal agencies. So don't give us one specific, keep it broad enough, but really tell us what you want to do. And that's important because 90% of our students are going to be offered a job after their internship program. But it's also important because these are project-based. So for instance, the person who worked for SAMHSA, he ended up writing regulations on how to prevent childhood suicides. We had somebody who was interested in healthcare, who worked on research in diabetes for the Latino community. We have engineers who are actually working on bridges. We have accountants who are doing accounting, kinesiology majors who are with our veterans. This really is a great opportunity. And one of the things I will tell you about internships, every year I volunteer with the Chicano Latino Youth Leadership Project, and they spend a month at the Capitol. And inevitably, at least one student a year comes up to me and says, "Thank you so much for everything you did. I never want to work at the Capitol again." I consider that success because you figured out what you did not want to do before you made it your career. So this really is a great opportunity. Let us know what you would like to be doing, and then you can figure it out from there if that really was a good opportunity for you or not. The other thing you want to do in this essay, and again, it's very short, but you want to sell yourself. Tell us why you are so incredibly talented. Just earlier this week, I did a leadership institute, and even for those of us who have been in the workforce, culturally, it is very hard for us to brag about ourselves. We need you to brag. Tell them why you should be brought on as an intern. You're gonna upload documentation. There's an enrollment verification form, which you download from our website, give to the registrar, then upload. We're gonna ask for your official transcripts and then confuse you all by telling you to open them, which makes them unofficial. There's a history behind that. We can't accept your unofficial. Go ahead, order the official transcripts and then upload them. And then we're gonna ask for a letter of recommendation from a faculty member who knows you. Especially for those of you who are starting your first year or in the online environment, it may be more difficult. All of your professors have office hours. This is one of my regrets as an undergraduate student. I did not get to know enough of my professors. You are going to be asking them for letters as you do your transfer to a four-year degree, as you ask for scholarships, as you do internships. Get to know your professors so they know who you are and can write you a very strong recommendation. Once we have your completed application, we don't pick you, the agencies do. Some of these are going to pick you based on the application alone. So I cannot stress this enough. Make sure your resume was reviewed. Make sure that essay was reviewed. Some of them are going to do phone interviews or a Zoom interview, right? So growing up, I grew up low income. If this were now and I was still a student, I'd be doing this in my bedroom. But thinking through things like, even if you're in your bedroom, make sure it's neat. Make sure that you are wearing the best clothes you own for a job interview. And so the other thing that can help, because we have been told by even our government agencies, but particularly corporate America, is our students aren't interviewing well. In part, it's cultural. It's because, right, I started with the story of who I am so that you knew a little bit about me. But in corporate America, they need you to get straight to the point. If, like me, you did not grow up in an environment where your family could train you in how to do a corporate or government interview, ask career services. Many of them will offer a mock interview class. They may be able to do a one-on-one, obviously give them advance notice, but I do recommend that you learn how to interview. It's an important skill that all of us need. Most of our internships are going to be offered 1 to 2 months in advance, but honestly, we can't tell students whether or not they've been accepted until the last agency has told us. So it's very frustrating for students. If you need to take another offer because it's already arrived and we haven't told you, we completely understand. One of the questions we frequently get asked is, am I going to get multiple offers, or can I actually turn down an offer? So as I mentioned, only 10% of our students are going to be offered a job. So the likelihood is you're only going to get one offer from us. You absolutely can turn it down. If you see the job description, you're not interested, it's not the right fit, absolutely turn it down. We have had students who've received multiple offers. You're lucky you get to pick which one you want. But the other thing, and I failed to mention this when I was talking about the essay, is, as I mentioned, most of our internships are going to be in DC. We do have some in California. Unless you are absolutely unwilling or unable to travel, please leave that open so that you have the best possibility of getting an internship. Again, right now we're not doing housing and travel, but we are doing orientation. It is done completely online, so you will receive orientation with other students. These are a list of our federal partners. Anybody who requires a national security clearance, the application deadline is October 30th. Most of you are never going to need a national security clearance, but think about it, it's the ones who want to deal with money, and it's our criminal justice majors. So anybody who's interested in the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Security, you need a national security clearance. So even for the summer, the application is due on October 30th. Outside of DC, we have some great locations where we have internships. Some of these will have multiple HNIP interns, and again, if you let us help you find housing, we will have them as your roommates to help you reduce cost. In some cases, you may be on your own. These are the deadlines, and I will talk specifically about summer because it's the most popular. The early deadline, which is again, anybody who needs a security clearance, or you just really eager to get it in, October 30th. The regular deadline is February 12th. I am going to encourage you not to wait till February 12th for two reasons. The first is once we start getting enough completed applications, we start matching you, and so the agencies are already reviewing before February 12th. And the second one is just personal. Inevitably, our website is going to go down, and as the last office that's open, my office phone is going to start ringing off the hook right around 5 p.m. when the deadline is. Save yourselves all the hassle, apply before February 12th. Oh, and apparently, thank you to college president who has joined the presentation. We appreciate you being here. Our internships really are a great starting point for so many of our students. They have a great experience, whether they're working at the Mint, the Library of Congress, or the US Census, and hopefully you all filled out your census. I'm going to talk about our corporate partners. They are two separate programs. They have two separate applications. You can apply to both. So don't limit yourself because there are no fees to apply. For our corporate process, you are going to email a one-page resume, and I cannot stress this enough, one page. We will actually toss it for failure to follow instructions if you send us more than that. We're going to pre-screen to make sure that you're meeting the criteria for our corporate. And as I mentioned earlier, corporate America has talked to us about interview skills. So please ask for a mock interview through Career Services, get that experience doing an interview because you're going to interview with us first. If you pass our interview, we then send you on to corporate America and they do an interview. When we're in person, corporate America has been known to fly out intern candidates. Right now, they're all happening online. So keep that in mind. I will say, last year Deloitte was at our annual conference and they brought a former HACU intern who is now their vice president. So these really are great opportunities for you to have a career. So I encourage you to apply to both the federal and the corporate internships. As I mentioned at the beginning, as somebody who's still paying for her master's degree, it is better when somebody else pays for it. So we still have a scholarship that's open. The Denny's Hungry for Education Scholarship, the deadline is November 20th. I encourage you to apply. I listed the other ones, even though they're closed at this stage, because we tend to offer those every year. I want to make sure that you're looking on our website for scholarships to help you pay for your degree. In order to apply, you have to attend a HACU member institution, which you are, have a good GPA, previous internship or work experience. Again, one of the things that stands out to us is our students are not listing their organizations, their clubs, any association. If you volunteer with anybody, please make sure it's listed on there. And then of course, national or international experiences. I want to share with you an opportunity, and this year's is already closed because conference is next week. Last year when we were in person, we had 600 students join us in Chicago for professional development. It's a 2,000 person conference. So you're at a large event. This year, I know everybody is bummed. We were supposed to have been at Disney World next week. Instead, we will all be doing this from our living rooms. But next year, for those of you who are still going on in your schooling, we will be at a gorgeous resort in Aurora, Colorado. The great thing about the HACU Leadership Institute is we provide full ride scholarships to attend the conference. We will pay for your airfare. We will pay for your hotel. We will pay for registration, which includes most, but not all of your food. And again, we're going to be in Colorado. It's 3 days. We have great workshops that cover everything from how to interview, your leadership style. Google does one that's incredibly popular on imposter syndrome, which I think a lot of us who are first generation suffer from, right? We don't want you to just stop when you get a bachelor's degree. As an organization that champions Hispanic success in higher education, we want you to get a master's degree. We want you to get a PhD. Go for that MBA, get a JD. Don't limit yourself. Think strategically about what you want to accomplish and go out there and get it. So in addition to the scholarships we offer that I mentioned earlier and the HACU conference, I will mention one additional scholarship that is not listed, but it's the Southwest Scholarship. It's called Lancete. Southwest Airlines gives us vouchers. I went to graduate school on the East Coast. I only flew out at the beginning of the semester and at the end of the semester. There was no travel in between because it's expensive. Southwest gives vouchers to students to fly to and from campus through this particular scholarship program. We have also seen students use it so that your parents can watch you graduate. For those of you who decide to go on to get your bachelor's somewhere that maybe isn't near home. So that is another great opportunity for you. We have the job posting board. So you can list your resume. This is true for faculty and staff as well as students. Employers will post their jobs. They're looking at our resume, trying to find a diverse workforce. So list your resume with us for free. The HACU regional summits are on hold right now because of COVID. The closest we are going to get is CSU San Bernardino is going to host us at some point. It's a great opportunity, again, for student professional development. And then we have international opportunities. As a high school student, I actually got to go to the Soviet Union when it was the Soviet Union. The wall wouldn't fall until the next year. And being there when it was President Gorbachev is an amazing experience because I got to see history firsthand. I regret not having done study abroad in college. We offer scholarships for students to help pay for your study abroad opportunity. I encourage you to please take it. It really is life-changing. This is our DC office. Thanks to COVID, anytime our DC office is busy, everything rolls over to me anyways. So what I'm doing is in the chat box, I am giving you my email address, and I'm actually giving you my cell phone. The one request I have, if you use the cell phone, kindly do it at reasonable hours. But both of these will take you to me. If you have any questions, again, you can work with our DC office. They are the ones who actually run the federal internship program, but I'm always happy to try to help. As I mentioned, we are in conference. This week we started our pre-conference activities. Next week is our leadership for students. And again, I encourage all of you to apply for next year's full ride scholarship to Colorado. One of the things we will talk about for the Dean's Forum is actually the difference between just being Hispanic enrolling, Hispanic serving, and what we hope our institutions strive to be, which is Hispanic thriving. How we get our college students not only in and enrolled, but out of there holding that degree or transfer to a four-year for our community colleges. So I am going to stop and answer any questions that you may have. You can use the chat. I believe you'll be able to raise your hand and maybe ask it live, maybe not. But please ask any questions you may have, whether it's about our internships, our scholarships, any of our programs. If you heard my personal story and you're interested in a lifetime in politics, happy to talk about that. And yes, Juan Alvarez, who works for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, just entered his information. For those of you who are interested, he is a great resource. He's hosted out of Fresno State. And when he says he offers to help you, he means it. So please take him up on it. So one of the questions is there a cohort component to the summer internships? So there is. They're going to do orientation together, and then they're going to do professional development together. We will also do cultural events. So as a political nerd, one of the things I appreciate is they do a congressional breakfast every year where they get to talk to folks on the Hill about that experience. But we also do cultural things. So it really is an environment. And again, remember, if you went through us to get housing, you're going to live with other HACU interns. And so it creates a stronger experience. We are large enough that when we're renting out apartments, we rent out apartment buildings. So it is a lot of HACU internships. And again, feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat box.
I see one question in the chat from Carrie.
Okay, and I missed it, so let me.
That's okay. If I'm in need of a job, should I hurry and apply for a spring internship or wait for summer? What is your opinion?
Okay, so you did not hear this from me, but we will extend our spring deadline, but we won't officially announce it yet. But just so you don't rush through a bad application. Apply if you're looking for a job as soon as the spring, go ahead and apply soon. Start working on your essay. Again, I don't want you to rush and submit a bad application. So have somebody review the essay, make sure somebody looked at that resume. But yes, the official deadline will end up being middle of November. I want to say it's Friday the 13th because it's 2020, of course. So please submit your application as soon as possible. But again, do not rush through it. Give us a good quality application.
And Eric, I'm glad that you mentioned that for the students that are online right now, as far as the support that our campus is providing, I know Diana is here and can maybe mention a little bit about the workshops that are going to be provided, and maybe we can even put those in the chat so they're available right now for the students as far as that information. But Erica makes a great point about the importance of having a strong application. Just like you would want to have a strong application for a job, or for if you're transferring on to a UC or CSU, this is the key component here. So please take advantage of the support that we have for you. Diana, did you want to mention anything about what you guys are going to do?
Yeah, we are going to have on November 3rd, we will have a resume workshop where we'll give you the basics, we'll talk you through all of it, give you a tool to help start your resume. And then we're happy to, like Erica said, review it for you. We don't want you to just use the tool and then go away. We really want to help refine it and help you present the best you possible. I know the Tutoring Center is going to be doing an essay writing workshop also, so I will let them talk to that. But we're here for you. There's also, Erica mentioned not only resume, but really preparing for doing an interview. We are happy to do mock interviews with you, but we also have a tool on our website that I posted in the chat that's called Big Interview, and you can do module after module of practice. It gives you feedback. We can give you feedback. You can video yourself. It's a great tool to be using to help you prepare and get that practice. And then we will be happy to do extra interview practice with you, of course, over Zoom, but happy to help you with that because we want to help you know what an employer or these corporate partners might expect. And I know not everybody has that experience. They don't teach you how to do an interview in school. So we're happy to help you do with that. You may call 325-5398, and I'll put that number in the chat as well to book an appointment, or you can email us, but calling is pretty good. Just leave a message. Always leave a message, because if we can't answer, we'll always return your call. So I hope that helps. Is anyone from the Tutoring Center on that can speak to that one, or should I get that information as well?
I think Giselle posted it in there.
Perfect. Okay, great.
But if you want to go ahead and mention it, that would be great as well. That way students who are listening can hear it. Thank you.
Okay, well, I have to get back to the calendar.
Well, I can go ahead and mention that. So,
You have the date.
so there's the tutoring center is also having a resume writing workshop. So just like Erica was saying about having a really great, writing workshop, excuse me,
Yeah.
having a really great essay. The tutoring center is doing a essay writing workshop. So you can go ahead and put together your essay for your application. And they are doing that October 30th. And go ahead and go to the link that Michelle posted, and you can go ahead and go onto that link and also go to that one. And that one is between 12 and 1 p.m. on Friday, October 30th. Fantastic.
So I just saw a question about a student who graduated Fresno State. I don't know what the rules are on postbac. So what I am doing right now in the chat box is entering the email address for our folks in DC who will better be able to answer your question. So if you could email them that question, that would be the best way to get a good answer.
Hi, I have, maybe it's more so of a narrative explanation for it. So I remember when I was a community college student at Fresno City many, many moons ago. Number one, I didn't have all these great resources, to apply for scholarships. So totally take advantage of this, students. And I stepped away for just a minute from the presentation, so forgive me if you talked about it. But when I was in community college, I never wanted to apply for scholarships because I thought, I'll never get them. There's no way that somebody will look at my application compared to all of these other students that are going to four-year universities. Can you just kind of tell us a little bit, if you know a success story about a student from community college that got a HACU internship?
So we do have students from community colleges who do the HACU internships. We have students who start with us their first year and go through their entire academic career. We do have the alternative, which is you apply your first year, you don't get it, but you will get it on later. So I will encourage all of you to keep going. I was not the ideal student. So I actually failed my entire sophomore year at Cal because it turns out you can't campaign and go to school full time. Who knew? Right? And I still ended up going to Harvard and working for the White House. So sometimes it's a matter of how you sell yourself, right? And as community college students, I will be honest, it is harder to get in. We do tend to select our four-year institutions. I think there's a bias. There are great students at community colleges. So what do the successful ones look like who are getting in? You are having your essay reviewed. You are having your resume reviewed. You are listing every volunteer opportunity that you have. You're listing your jobs, right? I mentioned I sold clothes to get myself through Berkeley. We do not have the luxury for many of us of not working. And you may be thinking to yourself, it's not the most glamorous thing, but you know what it helps? It gives us context. It helps us explain who you are as a student. So if you work those jobs, tell us that. It does help. I will encourage you, even if you are working, if you can find a way to participate in at least one outside activity, those are extremely helpful. Get yourself some leadership experience, right? Run for that club presidency or the treasurer or whatever it may be. That really does help in making you attractive to folks. And please list all of your volunteer activities. I volunteered when I was in grad school tutoring inner city students through my church. That was on my resume, right? Because it explains who I am as an individual. It explains that I am well-rounded. It gives insight. And so please make sure you are listing all of that. Give yourself absolutely every edge you have.
And Erica, just to build on what you were saying, for the community college students, it's also critical that that the folks that are writing their letters of recommendation for the program know that background, so that it helps them articulate their leadership, their community involvement skills, and all the attributes that they possess, so that when they do apply for this internship, they're as competitive as the four-year students.
So piggybacking off of what Juan was saying, an important thing as well for community college students and for students in general is to make sure to get to know your instructors, right? Because if you're going to ask them for a letter of recommendation or for a letter of reference, they have to know you as a student. Make sure that you go to office hours, make sure that you engage with them. That way, when you ask them for reference, they can tell about you, you coming to office hours. So that's an important thing as well. Make sure that you're engaging with your faculty. Thank you.
And in addition to that, students, if you are interested in finding out how to get involved on campus to help strengthen your resume and applications, if you don't decide to do it, this time around, connect with Patrick. He happens to be on the Zoom session. And Patrick, if you could put down your information so they know how to get involved with student government and perhaps other student organizations and volunteer opportunities as well that come along, that would be great.
Sorry, excuse me. Absolutely. Please, please connect with me. I'd love to talk to you and help get you involved. Also, I do believe a couple of tutors are going to be hopping on in just a second to talk about the writing portion of the workshop.
Are there other questions that students have? You're welcome to unmute and ask or put them in the chat as well. It's a good time to do that. You can do this.
Have our tutors arrived?
Should be very soon.
Okay.
If I could say something really quick, I just put in there, I think somebody already put it up earlier, but I put in there the link to this page on our website where we have the ability to register for and where the Zoom links are, because I think students really need to know, well, how do I get into these workshops? So if you would pre-register for the resume writing workshop, and looks like the internship writing workshop doesn't necessarily want you to pre-register, but the Zoom link is on this page for both of those workshops. So I wanted to make sure students had that.
All right, it looks like one of our tutors, Sydney, is jumping on right now. I don't think there we go. Sydney, one of our tutors, is on right now to talk about the writing portion of the workshop.
So, hi guys, my name's Sydney. I just wanted to pop in here really quick and welcome you guys to come join us next Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. We're going to be hosting a writing workshop for this internship application specifically. So if you guys wanted to come join us next week, we're going to go over the prompt specifically, give you guys some writing tips, and really help you guys try and turn in the best essay application. So if you guys have any questions or anything, I'd be more than happy to answer them. And if not, I will see you guys next Friday.
Thank you, Sydney. And Erica, I believe there was a question about STEM opportunities through the HACU internship.
So actually, we are constantly looking for folks in STEM. While we accept all majors, it is quite frankly really difficult for us to find Latinx students in particular in the STEM fields. And I should say, I forgot to mention earlier, while we are a Latino organization, you do not have to be Latino to participate in any of our programs. So it is open to students of all backgrounds. But we do have STEM opportunities, and Juan may have some examples at USDA, but I do know that the Bureau of Land Management needs folks in STEM. We have the National Science Foundation, who obviously does research in STEM. So the National Institutes of Health might deal with some of the sciences. So we do have plenty of opportunities for those of you who are in the STEM fields. If you're doing computer science, every single federal agency has a computer science need. And we also have Google and Oracle as corporate partners. So we encourage you to apply to both.
So it looks like Juan was mentioning that USDA is in need of engineers, biology majors, computer science, mathematics, and others. So there's quite a few opportunities out there. Any other questions out there? Well, I would like to thank Erica as well as Juan for being here and giving us all this information and knowledge. It has been a fantastic learning experience. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much for hosting us. We hope you all apply to our programs.
I do have one question, sorry. There was so much information that you gave in the PowerPoint. Would we be able to get a copy of the PowerPoint? I took copious notes just so I could help our students, but I'd love to have a copy of the PowerPoint as well, just so I make sure I have the right information.
I will send it over.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. And if there's any other questions, we can go ahead and send those off to Erica or Juan, and so we can get those answered afterward. Are there any other announcements that we would like to make?
No, maybe if there are any students who want to stay back and ask any other questions, we'll be on until, Giselle, what do you think? Close to 1, so in case, or maybe another 5 minutes, just in case any students want to ask.
Sounds great. Well, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming, and Giselle, thanks for bringing it to our attention, really. This was great.
Yeah, I think it was a really good turnout.
Yeah.
I know we still have some students on.